Have you ever wanted a gaming controller so small that you can literally keep it on your keychain? What's up everybody, Corey with Freaky Tech Reviews here, and today we are checking out the Atom controller by CRKD. This thing is tiny, colorful, and definitely something to talk about, but can it actually hold up in the gaming world? Let's check it out. So if you've been around the channel for a bit, then you'll have seen me review several products from CRKD, including the Nitro deck, which was their flagship product, and it's a grip dock combo for the Nintendo Switch. A couple months ago, I also reviewed the recently released Neo S controller, and CRKD products have really been fantastic, and now they're actually adding to their lineup with the Atom controller. This is a super compact gaming controller, coming in at just 3.2 inches in width and 1.8 inches in height, and it's specifically designed for portability. It weighs about 30 grams, which makes it ultra light, and it's very easy to carry, and even features a keychain lanyard that comes right in the box with you, or you can just clip it onto your bag or keys. It's available in a bunch of different color options already, but CRKD is really good about releasing new styles and color schemes, so this definitely won't be the full lineup forever. The layout is minimal with the D-pad, ABXY buttons, and shoulder bumpers and buttons, but there is no joystick. It's built with CRKD's own button design, which is the same layout as you would find with most Nintendo-based products, with the A button being on the very right, and it focuses on tactile responses and durability, although the small size might be an issue for those with larger hands, and I'll dive into more of that in just a little bit. What's really crazy these days is how much technology you can fit into smaller packages, and with the Atom controller, it's actually almost fully compatible with CRKD's companion app, meaning that you can configure some of the settings and connect it with other CRKD products, just like their Nitro deck and Neo S controller. And just like with those other products, when you scan in your device with the CRKD companion app, it adds your controller to the True Collection system, where you see its product number and rarity. Now, there wasn't a lot of functionality to this app when the Nitro deck first released. However, you can assign macros to your Neo S controller and your Nitro decks. However, for the Atom at this time, it does not have this functionality, so you'll just have to use it as a normal controller right now. The Atom uses USB-C for charging and to connect manually, and also supports Bluetooth 4.2. I did have some wireless connection stability issues that we'll get into in just a little bit later, but the main thing about the CRKD Atom controller is that the price is only $20, and that makes it a really affordable controller for what it's offering. So that's kind of the core specs and technical details of the Atom, so let's go ahead and dive into the part that we're really waiting for, which is the pros and cons. I'll start off with the pros. So first off, it is incredibly compact, and that really is the main selling point. You can just throw it in your pocket or a bag and not even notice that it's there, so it's really good for travel or impromptu gaming sessions outside of your gaming space. I also love the color option. CRKD does a really great job giving sleek and modern looks to their designs, and it's definitely a conversation starter whenever I pull it out to use it. And like I said a second ago, it does have that Nintendo style controller with the A button being on the right, and I'm really surprised at how well spaced out the buttons actually are for such a small frame. It actually does a pretty decent job to be as ergonomic as possible, but I mean really, you're not buying this thing for ergonomics. I will say one of the coolest things that made it more than just a gaming controller is that it doubles as a pretty handy remote control for traveling, which makes it really versatile. It can connect to pretty much anything that has Bluetooth, so that makes it really handy for like stopping and starting movies as you're watching them and you don't want to get up and actually go do it yourself. Now you can easily carry multiple of these, so if you got friends who game, then that's definitely an added convenience, especially if you pair them with the Switch's original Joy-Cons. Now I like using the Nitro deck for the Switch. It is my favorite grip for the Switch. However, if you just want to buy one of these, then you basically have three standalone controllers that you can have with you at all times, because you have both Joy-Cons and then a third controller and a fourth, and then you can easily play multiplayer games. Now let's dive into some of the areas that I'm not a big fan of on the Atom, or where I think that it could have been improved. I will say that it's not ideal for every gaming setup. The Atom is limited to a D-pad setup, which means any game that relies heavily on analog sticks, like Super Smash Bros. That I'm showing right now, is pretty much unplayable. I literally couldn't even get the characters to move. This limited functionality also makes it really tough to use as a full replacement for something like a Joy-Con, but where it really excels would be as a second or third controller for multiplayer if you already have Joy-Cons, and I touched on that a second ago, but even then, you're also going to be really limited on the types of games that you can play. Now, I did also initially have connection issues to different devices, but I actually found out that this is my fault, because after a while I realized I'm doing it incorrectly. If you actually look at the user manual at the instructions, you'll see that depending on what device you're connecting to, you can actually put your device into different pairing modes depending on what you need to connect it with. For instance, I found that using the controller on my Nintendo Nintendo Switch would require me to just hold the Cracked logo button to enter pairing mode, whereas if I needed to use it on my phone, I would use the pairing method that registers the controller as an Xbox wireless controller by holding the Cracked button and up on the D-pad. Overall, there's actually 3 different connection methods that are detailed in the user manual. This is not really a con, but it's something that was not immediately intuitive because I just dove in without reading the instructions like most people. And then one big factor that's for me personally, and I think, you don't really buy the product for the point of this, it's just the fact that it's too small for my hands. But to be fair, my hands measure 9 inches from the base of my palm to the tip of my middle finger and 10.5 inches from pinky to thumb, so I'm not exactly the target audience size-wise. And these Atom controllers are really something that you should not purchase for ergonomics anyways, so it's really not a problem with the product itself. But one that is that I did struggle to find games on iOS that I could use it with. I didn't try the Android market, but I downloaded quite a few games on my iPhone to try out, but it seemed that only about half of them would actually work with the controller. I do think that this is actually something that Cracked can improve on and roll updates out for so that it's more widely compatible, so I don't expect this to be a problem forever. It's just right now that is one that I found. But overall, I do think that Cracked makes fantastic products. I've reviewed both their original Nitro Deck and the Nitro Deck Plus, and both are phenomenal, especially if you're into Switch gaming. The Neo S, which is the Atom's bigger sibling, definitely packs more punch for serious gamers, and that's more of an actual gaming controller. So to wrap things up, the Cracked Atom is an interesting and well-executed concept. I do really like it. The build quality is solid, but it's really hard to recommend it as a primary gaming controller because it's not very practical for long sessions for games that need an analog stick. But the Atom wasn't made to replace the Switch's Joy-Cons. But with the similar layout, it feels like most people will end up comparing it to that, but it's around the same size and has some functionality for the Switch specifically. But I will say that it's actually a really fun and cool gadget that actually has a lot of functionality to it, but it's also a conversation starter, and at just $20, it's really not a huge investment, so it's really perfect if you value the cool factor over everyday usability. So I do recommend it for those casual gamers who like to collect quirky and portable tech. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you like Cracked products? Have you had experiences with them? And will you be grabbing any of these Cracked controllers? There are links in the description below. They are affiliate links, but they don't cost you anything extra, but they do help the channel financially. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and joining the Freaky Tech family and hitting that like button because that really helps the channel grow. But thank you so much for stopping by and spending some of your day with me. Again, I'm Corey with Freaky Tech Reviews. I'll see you next time.